I'm going to just talk briefly about tonight's agenda as usual. And tonight, in an eventful time, we have a fairly light agenda. Happy New Year, by the way, everybody. Welcome back. It's good to see everybody. Today, we just have a couple of new business items on the agenda. Those being an administrative site plan review update for the Yankee Air Museum hangar project. Another one of few developments that are occurring at the Willow Run Airport on Van Buren Township side. And we will have another recommendation to reinitiate administrative review for easing some of the typical review procedures for outdoor dining and retail in 2021. So I'll be talking about that. And then just a very brief update with a link to a map that reflects some of the Planning Commission's activities and active projects that are happening right now. And just as a reminder, the meeting tonight is on Zoom and being broadcast on YouTube. The means of participation are that you can raise your hand, chat, or use *9 if you're calling in to make public comment. And we're of course hosting this meeting remotely due to the COVID-19 pandemic that's ongoing. So at this point, we'll kick this over to the chair, Chair Thompson. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Director Powers. Good evening and welcome to the Charter Township of Van Buren Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, January 13th of 2021. And as Director Powers said, Happy New Year to everyone. We'll start the meeting with a roll call, please. Ms. Harmon?
Joan Franzoy.
Here.
Jeff Jar.
Here.
Brian Cullen. Brian Kelly.
Here.
Medina Ashenson is excused. Sherry Budd.
Here.
Carol Thompson.
Here. Thank you. We have a quorum. We have an agenda before us. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Mr. Jar, support.
Support.
I'll take support, Commissioner Franzoy. That's a roll call vote, please.
Brian Kelly.
Yes.
Sherry Budd.
Yes.
Jeff Jar.
Yes.
Joan Franzoy.
Yes.
Carol Thompson.
Yes. Thank you. We have minutes from the regular meeting of December 9th of 2020. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Commissioner Kelly? Support, Commissioner Jar. Any discussion on the motion? I'm sorry, roll call vote, please.
Sherry Budd.
Yes.
Brian Kelly.
Yes.
Jeff Jar.
Yes.
Joan Franzoy.
Yes.
Carol Thompson.
Yes. So moving right into our new business for tonight. Item 1 is Yankee Air Museum hangars site plan update. Staff will provide an update on an administratively approved complex, including 2 15,000 square foot aircraft hangars and a 12,000 square foot office and shop section, along with related site improvements. The location is 48075 Tyler Road. The property is located at the end of Tyler Road, west of Beck Road in Willow Run Airport of Van Buren Township. Director Powers, tell us all about it.
Okay, will do. Sorry for the delay. We are fortunate enough to have Kevin Walsh and James Harless from the Yankee Air Museum with us tonight on the call. So I'd invite them to participate and give any of their insights and feedback. Now that we've been through a couple of these projects, the Planning Commission is probably fairly used to this, but I'll just go over the process for these types of reviews again. When we review any significant site plan in the township, those reviews usually come through the Planning Commission, typically in a preliminary and then in a final site plan review process. And within those processes, you're going to be looking at the entire scope of our zoning ordinance. In the case of airport projects at the Willow Run Airport, there have been different approaches used over the years, but by and large, the Wayne County Airport Authority has the overarching site plan and site design purview over this site, and including basically everything outside of the building. And so we have worked through some zoning ordinance changes in recent years. Most recently adopted in 2017, our ordinance asks that staff provide a review of applicable standards related to parking, landscaping, lighting, and certain nuisance factors that might arise on a site like this. But otherwise, we defer to the Wayne County Airport Authority for their site plan review. It's a process that has worked very well in the recent developments that have come through. So we're following the same process here. I've provided an advisory report to the Planning Commission and plans only on PDF online to the Planning Commission, although we can certainly share hard copy plans to anybody who wants to swing by and take a look at them. The information is online, and I have completed a administrative review with approval for this project. As you heard in the description from the chair, this is a pretty significant project. It's two 15,000 square foot hangars and a 12,000 square foot office area at the new location for the Yankee Air Museum site. And the project is near the dead end of Tyler Road, where it empties into the Willow Run Airport complex. You may have noticed some activity earlier this year in the early part of the fall when the B-17 bomber was relocated to the pad that's going to be to the east of where this site is going to be built. But then inside the site, what you have is the building complex. There are 79 parking spaces, some minor green areas and open areas with minor landscaping. And these facilities will include hangars and repair shops and an educational component to serve the needs of the Yankee Air Museum. So this project has been administratively approved. There are very few conditions that had been left over at this point, and the foundation permit for this project has actually already been issued. As I said, the township will still be the reviewing authority for the building aspect of the project. So we've issued a permit for the foundation. There's still some review that's occurring related to the overall vertical construction of the building, and some permitting steps with the airport authority that remain. But in terms of the site plan recommendations, this is ready to go, save for just a few conditions, which are already in the process of being cleared up. We're looking for just an explanation of the landscaping in a little bit greater detail, and clarification if there's going to be any need for loading, and then the loading areas would need to be shown on the plan. Then making sure that the project's utility design is consistent with the township's engineering standards. There's going to just have to be permitting needs related to the water taps being connected to the water main that was recently built to serve the airport site, and how that connection comes together is still subject to the water department's review. So at this point, I see that Mr. Walsh and Mr. Harless from Yankee Air Museum are on the screen, and maybe they can fill in some of the gaps and give some more of the background behind the move, and talk about the project a little bit.
Sure. Thanks, Dan, and Happy New Year to everybody. Exciting to be here, and a very exciting project for the Yankee Air Museum. As most of you are familiar, the Yankee Air Museum was founded in '81, making it 40 years old today. This year, I should say. Of course, the museum was originally founded up at the north end of Willow Run until our devastating fire in 2004. That began sort of the plight for a historic flying aircraft collection. And these hangars are only to preserve and maintain the aircraft that fly. So I don't want any confusion that the current museum is moving over there. The current static museum, offices, educational space, all is going to remain at the D Street location on the east side of Willow Run. This is only for the flying aircraft. But since that fire in 2004, we have been moved around numerous times. Right after the fire, we were in Hangar 2. We had spent time at Detroit Metro Airport. We had spent time at Grosse Ile trying to find space for these historic aircraft. We finally nestled into Hangar 2, and then Hangar 2 was slated for closure by the Wayne County Airport Authority. We moved around a couple more times, and by 2010, 2011, we had found a home, at least space in Hangar 1, 2 bays for a historic flying aircraft collection, and committed to buying a chunk of the remaining Willow Run Bomber plant, as we had felt that we were going to be at Hangar 1, and there was no indications why we wouldn't be. Unfortunately, Hangar 1 has become a liability for the airport authority. We understand it. It's a business decision, and obviously it's slated for closure. And I think most everybody knows that it is slated for closure. We began to hear in 2018 that that was a possibility. 2019, we were given a hard date for the closure. COVID in 2020 has extended that date, but October 2021 is really the new hard deadline. So this project is a project of need, not want. The aircraft will not have any place to go after October of 2021 of this year. So we are in the position that we have to build these hangars and the related shop space to maintain the airplanes by October of 2021. The aircraft themselves have some pretty special requirements in the sense of their size. They cannot fit in traditional hangars, so we have to build larger hangars because of the size of the aircraft that we maintain in flying condition. So we're very excited. Since 2004, the aircraft have always kind of been moved around and found temporary homes. We're really excited that we're establishing a permanent home for the historic flying aircraft collection of the Yankee Air Museum, and in a very in a very positive spot on the east side, very close to our headquarter building on D Street. We're on track as far as the planning goes for the hangar project, and we're looking forward to getting this done. It does not come at the best of financial times for us. The project, we are approximately $3 million short on cash for the project. We have secured financing, so it's a project that will get done. But as most of you know, and you can appreciate that a nonprofit borrowing money to build a building is not the ideal situation. But without this building, we won't have an historic flying aircraft collection because these airplanes cannot be left outside in the harsh climate of Michigan. James, I'll pass it over to James for a few details regarding the construction schedule and some of the plans, and then we'd be really happy to take any questions anybody has.
Good evening, everyone. I'm kind of in charge of coordinating the design and construction of the Aeronautics Center. As Dan mentioned earlier, we've got the foundation permit approved and the designs approved. We've stripped topsoil. We're in the process of backfilling. We've got to raise the site about 3 feet before we start construction. We're planning on foundation construction beginning about January 25th. And then after that, we'll begin construction of the building itself. We plan to go vertical probably starting about the 1st of March. And then hopefully we'll be finished sometime probably mid to late summer. We're at 100% on the building design plans. They're in final review within our team. So you should be getting those within a week or two. So it's pretty quickly. They'll come to you, they'll go to the airport authority pretty much simultaneously for review. So time-wise, schedule-wise, that's about where we are now. Anybody have any questions?
Thanks so much, gentlemen. Anything else, Director Powers?
Nothing else from me.
Okay, then questions or comments from the commission?
We do thank you very much for your
Anyone?
support on this.
I think we're happy to support whatever we can that with the Yankee Air Museum. They've been a great asset to the community for a lot of years, and it is rewarding to hear that you'll have a permanent home for that aircraft. I think there's some congratulations in order also. Are you all not expecting a retired Blue Angel fighter jet to arrive any day now?
The retired Blue Angel F-18 Hornet arrived at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And my apologies, Dan, I owe you a phone call back. I was tied up with the arrival of that jet. It will be ready for display on Saturday for our weekend hours. We have winter hours right now and limited hours due to the pandemic. But it will be available for people to get up close. This is a jet that actually flew Thunder over Michigan as Blue Angel number 1 back in 2017, and it retired as Blue Angel number 4 this year after flying the America Strong flyovers of all our cities throughout the U.S., supporting our frontline workers and heroes across the nation. So a pretty storied jet. And we're really, really proud to have it. And we're very blessed that the Navy saw fit that our museum was one of the recipients of one of the last Blue Angel jets to go into a museum. So yeah, it's been a big day today.
Well, I'm glad we can finish it off on a good note. So we have a recommendation from Director Powers that everything is good and going forward, and it's the administrative review is all that you need. So if there, I'll ask one more time, any other questions or comments from the commission or anyone in the audience? Hearing none, then thank you very much, gentlemen, and our best wishes. We look forward to some kind of a grand opening when you're ready and when we're through with COVID, which hopefully will happen
Absolutely.
sooner than later.
Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks so
everyone.
much. We'll move to item 2 on tonight's agenda. It is the adaptive outdoor retail and dining, a relaxation of certain regulations for the 2021 extension. And again, we have Director Powers.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This topic sounds familiar because it is. Last July, there was a first discussion of this item where, in recognition of the restrictions that need to be in place to provide protections against COVID-19 and occupancy limits that result from that in restaurants and retail businesses, the township, like many other municipalities, worked through a means of providing some leniency on some of their requirements related to moving regular indoor activities outdoors. We, as a planning commission, forwarded a recommendation to the township board to allow any business in the township that basically serves food or beverages or sells goods in place is allowed to bypass the more extensive temporary land use review procedure that the planning commission typically administers. And the board also acted to allow leniency from the fee requirement. So based on that action in July, we had a resolution that allowed retailers and food and beverage service businesses to do things administratively and turn in their applications directly to staff and get them approved relatively smoothly after staff works together from a public safety perspective and with the DDA taking a look at things just to make sure that there's basic safety standards met. And there are some other requirements on the application form that I've shared with the packet tonight. We originally anticipated that nobody knew the extent of the pandemic or the speed with which there would be remedies for it. And it's not all that surprising that we're still in it. But at first, we just wanted to be a little bit more cautious and have the resolution that was passed have a sunset of October 31st, just anticipating the warm weather months. And by and large, our businesses, for better or for worse, did not take much advantage of that on a wide scale. There was the Applebee's and the at the Belleville Yacht Club. There's some outdoor space that's used for food and beverage service, but most of our locally owned restaurants, I've heard from the DDA, are more or less trying to make do with curbside pickup and to-go food when they've had to have occupancy limitations indoors. So it may be a little bit limited in who's actually taking advantage of this right now, but we just want to be in front of the situation and give our businesses every opportunity possible to let them succeed in place. So looking ahead to this year and seeing as there's more and more creative options for restaurants to move seating outdoors, we want to, again, allow them to take advantage of this and do it formally through a policy resolution by the Board of Trustees. So we've kind of brushed off that resolution from last year, and we're asking our board to reconsider it at their next meeting coming up next Tuesday. So before that time, I just wanted to give the Planning Commission the information again and give you an opportunity to go through it and let me know if you have any questions. I will say that there are just a couple of minor revisions and clarifications made. We tightened the language on just making sure that fire code provisions are adhered to, and there was some language in the resolution before, but it's a little bit more specific to the fire code. And I've also made sure there's language that clarifies this is for businesses with a physical presence in the township. So we certainly encourage people to find a good place to set up a food truck or bring an outside business in, but that's still a process that's going to have to go through the temporary land use review procedure. What we're really trying to do is help our local businesses with leased or owned brick and mortar presence in the community to be able to expand outdoors. So we just made that a little bit more clear in this resolution. But beyond that, this is the same thing you looked at last July, just with a new sunset going through the end of this year. And the last thing I'll say is that perhaps by the end of this year, we'll have some more closure on the public health situation, or we may not, but there also will be more time to look at other options to see if it makes sense to have some flexibility in the zoning for this kind of thing to occur, and if it makes sense for this kind of thing to occur on a more long-term basis, whether it's a pandemic or something else that drives temporary occupancy limitations. It may be something worth looking at in codifying in the zoning ordinance more long-term, but in the meantime, this resolution will take us through the end of this year. So I again ask for your recommendation to the board to adopt a resolution to allow outdoor dining and retail for our businesses through the end of the year.
Thanks, Director Powers. Any questions or comments from the commission? Anyone? Sounds good. Is there a motion for recommendation?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Kelly?
I'd move to recommend to the Township Board the relaxation of the review process as further detailed in the January 2021 memorandums that we've been provided, specifically for businesses to use outdoor dining and retail space due to the COVID-19 pandemic through December 31st, 2021.
Great, thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Support, Commissioner Jar. Any discussion on the motion? A roll call vote, please.
Joan Franzoy,
Yes.
Jeff Jar,
Yes.
Brian Kelly,
Yes.
Sherry Budd, Carol Thompson.
Yes. All right, so that will go forward. We are to the general discussion and updates in our agenda tonight. And we have a 2020 Planning Commission annual report and development map. And the map is new then, is that right, Director Powers?
Yeah, this is something that was started last year at kind of 2.0, and I will show you what it is. You may have seen that the packet that you got online has a clickable link, and I'll show you what happens when you click that link. So just bear with me 1 second. This is something that we'll hope to have more a permanent home for on our planning and economic development webpage. But what this is something that just shows you visually the extent of what staff considers current development. And I say that because there's a lot of projects that the Planning Commission reviews every year, and some for whatever reason have to be put on hold or withdrawn, unfortunately. But there are certainly many that continue and move on to success. So I think it's important just to get a spatial context for all the things that you review. And this is also a good way to see everything in one place. And frankly, it's good for me and other staff just to kind of keep track of everything. So the annual report that we looked at in early December has significance in terms of this map. And we've talked about all the different things that have happened in the last year, all the things that were approved in years prior. So what this is a map that shows all the projects that are currently active, many of which were approved by the Planning Commission in the last couple of years. So if you go to this link, you'll see points that are colored based on the status of the project. There's a fair number of projects that are in a pre-review stage and that we're processing currently. There's also projects that are in the preliminary approval stage and pre-review for the final approval. Pre-construction, there are projects that are in the pre-construction phase where they've gotten final site plan approval by the Planning Commission, but construction has not yet begun. Projects under construction and projects recently completed. If you click on any of these points for any of the projects in the pre-construction, under construction, or recently completed category, you should be able to, and then you can zoom in, you should be able to see that there are links to application packets, minutes, and plans. And so rather than go through this point by point, I just want to invite the Planning Commission to go ahead and take that link. You can bookmark it, and just we'll try to keep that updated at least on a quarterly basis to make sure we're showing what the status of these projects are that you've worked hard to review. And just by way of example, here's the Camping World project that you reviewed the final site plan for in December. If you click on the link, you're going to be able to pull up some of the drawings. I think we tried to keep these plan sets pretty light just to keep the bandwidth low. But then you'll see what the projects are. And then you'll also be able to click on links to the minutes of approval, the packets, et cetera. So just wanted to let you know that that's available to you now, and feel free if you have any questions or suggestions about it.
That's great. That's very cool. That'll be great for commissioners, but how nice for the public who sometimes doesn't hear about a project that comes to us until after the project is already been approved and working its way through the system, so they can check in on it and see what actually is being proposed. It's great. Anyone else, questions or comments on the map or other general discussion items?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the map is very impressive. I was going through and playing around a lot with it. I like being able to go back and take a look at the packets, the review packets, and then every once in a while you have that question of, hey, I wonder where they're at, and you can kind of do the quick review of knowing, all right, so they're already into construction. We'll be seeing something soon. So it's nice to be able to put the kind of get an idea of where things are getting built, where it's at on the map.
That's great. Yeah, it is. It's engaging so much so that when you start to blink and click, you just keep going.
Yeah.
Through the chair.
There,
Director Power, have you shared this map with the BZA yet?
No, but We will have it publicly available and I will share it with the BZA. It's a good question.
Great. I'm sure they will enjoy seeing how these projects work out as well. You know, when they have to act on a variance, it's nice for them to have some feedback to see what's happening. Yeah, this is great. It's a wonderful map. Good job.
Thank you.
Good suggestion for the BZA. Anyone else? Anything? Anything other general discussion items tonight? Hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Commissioner Kelly, thank you. Support?
I didn't want to step on Commissioner Franzoy again. I support.
Commissioner Dar, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
And thank you all. We're adjourned. A short but informative meeting. Thanks, everyone. Good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great night, everyone.
Good night. Be safe.
Night.